Welcome everyone to the Hot Sauce number 206, I think, presented live on June 30th. EOS Hot Sauce delivers EOS facts and news straight to your brain every single week. Today's a shorter show than usual. Big weekend in Canada Day. I know in the States as well, Independence Day. So we're going to keep this one short, let you guys get back to your weekend action as fast as possible. We got 4 topics for you guys today. Facings is hashtag powered by EOS. And we're talking EOS EVM updates, MathWallet integration, Pomelo Season 6 wrap up, and some Upland news for you guys. So let's get into it. EOS Network Foundation published the next article in their series called Powered by EOS, this time highlighting Facings, which is a subcompany from the EOS Detroit team that have been with EOS since the very beginning. Shout out to the guys at EOS Detroit, now known as Detroit Ledger Technologies, DLT. Nice little abbreviation there. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to all the guys out there with Facings, with EOS Detroit, doing great work for the community on EOS, as well as other Antelope chains over the last couple of years. Now we've got a nice article here highlighting some of their past achievements and kind of what they're focusing on right now. So couple things I wanted to highlight with this article. For those of you may remember, Dark Pinup was an NFT collection on Wax. This was one of their biggest series released by Facings. I picked up some of those. The art was really good, and so that was a nice release on their part. Goes over some of those other stats here, over almost over $425,000 in NFT sales across 12 collections. The team behind DLT have been here for a while. They've built a lot of tech for NFTs on Antelope, and that's what they're continuing to do these days. So one of the reasons that we're talking about Facings a bit more, we invited Rob on the Fireside this week. So if you want to hear directly from Rob, I encourage you to watch the Fireside. But other than that, they've been working on a ENF grant framework proposal called the Collections Manager. So there's a couple of milestones here in this grant that the DLT team is working on. First milestones was around managing collections, creating collections, all of that. Second milestones they're working on is the ability to import some data into that collection manager to automate the creation of, for example, templates. So on Atomic Assets, on Atomic Hub, when you create a new template, there's a bunch of information. I've created a lot of templates in my time. Obviously, we've worked with a lot of NFT collections on EOS, on Wax, etc. And in the past, I've had to manually copy over the information from my spreadsheet to the Atomic Hub interface, making sure all the attributes are right. And sometimes mistakes happens, typos happens, copy paste the wrong thing. With this new import feature that they're working on, I'll be able to directly convert my spreadsheet into a CSV file and upload that to the collection manager and have the collection manager mint all of the NFT, all of the templates without any misclicks or typos on my part. So I'm excited for that. And then coming up after that, milestone 3, they're going to be working on an airdrop tool. So unfortunately, if you're a big fan of EOS NFTs, you've probably noticed that a couple of things that happened actually recently, not the greatest news. Bounty Block, unfortunately, has announced that they are sunsetting their EOS services. So the social media, the social contests, as well as the airdrop tool are no longer going to be available on EOS, which is unfortunate. Hopefully, market turns and the team can find some financing to come back to EOS later. But for now, we don't have access to those tools anymore. And then at the same time, Pink, the company behind Atomic Hub, also removed the public access for their Atomic Assets API. So what that did is our harvest page for our Pomelo NFTs used that public API. Some of the features were down, our blend page as well. enter EOS Detroit, the heroes that they are. When they learned that the public API for atomic assets was down, they started working on running their own. It's now up and running. Rob shared the news with us on the fireside this Wednesday and invited teams in the EOS ecosystem that were relying on that API to reach out to him if you want to have access to this API. I think he's just kind of giving away that access for free for now, as long as it doesn't get abused, as long as their servers aren't overwhelmed by the amount of requests. I think they're open to allowing other teams to use it. Of course, they need that Atomic Assets API in order to power their collection manager and all these other open source NFT tools that they're developing for EOS and of course any other Antelope chain that would want to use that. So that's very cool of them to be offering this to the community. They offered it to EOS Nation team as well. So we were able to get our harvest page back up and running, our blend page back up and running. So make sure to check out those pages. If you checked it out in the last couple of weeks, it wasn't working, should be back up and running. And a little side note, of course, if you attend the fireside, if you attend other EOS community shows throughout the month, you can earn some POP tokens. Those POP tokens can be blended, 4 of them, into your monthly raffle ticket. So if you tried to blend your raffle ticket in the last couple of weeks through the UI, that was not available. Now it's back. So the draw is going to be happening on Wednesday for June. For the June draw, it's going to happen next week on the far side. And so make sure to mint your mint your raffle tickets before then to participate in this month's giveaway. All right, back to EOS Detroit and the work they're doing on these NFT tools. So I'm going to be working with Rob. I was obviously a big power user of the Bounty Block tool. I'm now missing a distribution method to distribute all of these great NFTs to all of our community members that participate in the community and are active in the space. And so we're working on some tools on our own side to distribute the POP tokens. So if you haven't received your POP tokens yet for the last 2 weeks, which you haven't because I haven't sent them out, you can expect that to be back up and running next week, or maybe the week after that. And it's also going to be easier for all of the other community event show hosts that also distribute POP tokens to their communities to distribute them through the Discord bot we're working on. So more details about that later on. And if you're a community member and you host EOS community events online, live, whatever it is, you want to distribute some POP tokens to the people that show up to your events, we love that. Reach out to me. I'll hook you up with some POP tokens. I'll make sure your community can participate in these monthly giveaways where we aim to reward active EOS community members who show up to events. So for the POP token distribution, we got Denis on our team working on that Discord bot. For other types of distributions, for other requirements, I'm going to be working with Rob and the EOS Detroit team to make sure that this airdrop tool that they're working on contains the features that I need and that you guys need to distribute your NFTs to your community. So if you have a list of airdrop tools, maybe you were using the Bounty Block tool before, you got a list of features, list of requests, send those to me. I'm going to be kind of compiling that for the community and making sure to communicate with Rob to make sure that they're implementing, the features that we want the most at first. And of course, over time, more features will be added to that airdrop tool. What's also really nice about this project that's funded through the grant framework is that, of course, it's open source. So Bounty Block is not open source, so they could not qualify for some of these funding opportunities, for example, through Pomelo or through the grant framework, because this technology that Bounty Block has developed is not only for EOS or Wax, it's also shared on other networks across the crypto space. And so they cannot just open source that code. That's their proprietary IP, basically. So Bounty Block can't really go the open source way. So it's nice to see that the ENF, through the grant framework, is funding the EOS Detroit team to build some open source NFT tools for us. So if you're a developer out there, you love playing around with NFTs, on EOS native, you'll be able to build your own plugin on top of this airdrop tool. So that's what's great about open source composability, is that when that tool is released to the community, other community members can build on top of that. And I think it's really gonna enable new use cases and enable new creators to have new creative ways to distribute their NFTs to their communities. All right, so yeah, so if you're a project that's looking to incorporate NFTs in a big project of yours, you're looking for a network, you're looking for a team to help you deploy and build, or maybe just consult, give you some tips and advice. Facings, this is what they do. They've done it a lot on Wax and in EOS on Antelope. Very knowledgeable, so reach out to Facings if you want help with your NFT project. All right, so so that's kind of gonna wrap it up here for Facings. Just wanted to make sure we send them some love and make sure that they're gonna be, building the tools we need. All right, little EOS EVM update for you guys. Of course, every week we do updates on EOS EVM. This week, not too much to point out other than MathWallet, which is a very popular wallet in the crypto space, has now enabled EOS EVM. You can switch to EVM, you can create or import a wallet, transfer and deposit, and access dApps. EOS EVM MathWallet, there we go. So, MathWallet, let's see here, how many subs? 800,000 followers, clearly a huge project in the space. And this really highlights some of the benefits of having the EVM on EOS, is that now, for example, MathWallet, it's very easy for them to add the EOS EVM to their wallet, whereas adding EOS native to their wallet is a whole other project and really a lot more cost in terms of development time needed to integrate EOS native. And that's why we can see such projects integrating EOS EVM. And we've seen a bunch of these projects in the last couple of weeks integrating the EOS EVM, which is great to see, and kind of part of the plan of having, EVM on the EOS network. All right, Pomelo season 6 is officially over. Thank you to everyone who supported the hot sauce. Thank you to everyone who created a grant. We had over 100 grants, I think 114 if I remember correctly, that qualified throughout all of these matching pools. Of course, this season we got 4 different matching pools. The Everything in EOS pool, which hot sauce qualifies for, has a bit less money than the other pools and was actually the most popular pool. So I don't remember offhand exactly how many qualified applications there were, but it was definitely the pool with the most qualified grants and the least money. So the amount of money raised for a lot of these projects in the Everything EOS pool may be significantly lower than previously. I know that for the hot sauce, that's definitely been the case. However, we had some adversities, some challenges with the hot sauce. One of the reasons is that the new rule prohibiting any member of your company donating to a grant that is sponsored by a team within that company, those people cannot donate to your grant and they cannot influence the matching amount. So that hurt us a bit. And then of course, the lower prize pool and a lot of competition led us to raise not that much money this season. However, hot sauce is not going anywhere just yet. We're definitely going to keep producing this show. We like to do it. It's nice to get some extra funding from Pomelo, but is not required for us to continue. So don't worry, hot sauce will continue. And I'm actually very curious to see how season 7 is going to play out. Now, we don't know the details on the pools. We don't know how much money is going to be available yet, but assuming a similar setup as this season, I would imagine we're going to see some grants that qualified for the Everything EOS pool, maybe make some effort to qualify for the GameFi or for the EOS EVM pool. So for example, here, if we look at EOS EVM grants and we look at their estimated match, we see that a couple of grants here reach the cap. So the cap is 20% of the total pool. So we see here EOS virtual EV, sorry, EVM name service, EOS EVM name service, one of these top projects in the EVM pool, MetaHub web plugin wallet, Noah Swap, one of the leading DeFi protocols on there, and EOS support, EOS audit. As you can see, EVM bridge for Unicove. Here's some of our most successful grants this season in the EVM department, and you can see some nice funding, which I think is very important. We want to incentivize people to build on the EVM, so I like this strategy of allocating money directly for EVM or for GameFi. If we quickly take a look at the GameFi, we've got Pink Cat eating papaya. These guys have been here, I think, from the very first season. They're always there. They reached the cap. New Chat reached the cap. Bit Beast up to 8,000. NFT game stats up to 6,000. So you can see that these GameFi projects are able to raise a lot of money, even though, for example, here, Froggy Cryptoland multiplayer adventure on EOS EVM only raised $126 from 28 contributors, but is able to get 2,500 matching. So that's pretty awesome for them. And that kind of showcases the impact that these pools are having on Pomelo, and the fact that there was not that many projects. What are we at here? 12, 13 projects qualified for the GameFi pool. So obviously these projects are going to be able to share $65,000 among them. So you can see some high numbers. So what I expect to see next season is that maybe some of these grants that qualify for the Everything EOS pool are going to adjust their product, adjust their offering, adjust their grant to qualify for some other pools, which would mean that these grants could access maybe more funding, and then the remaining grants in the Everything EOS pool are going to have more funding as well, because there's going to be less competition. I also imagine some projects may stop applying for Pomelo funding if they've gotten really, not enough funding to accomplish the goals that they were. So maybe we'll see. So I expect to see, now this is just my speculation here, I expect to see fewer projects in the Everything EOS pool next season compared to this season. And I expect to see more projects in GameFi and EOS EVM, which I think makes a lot of sense. And if here we take a quick look at the Telos pool, which is awesome to see, a new chain joining the Pomelo community. We got Open Block Explorer. Look at that, Detroit Ledger Tech getting in there, qualifying for the Telos pool and earning almost 5,000 USD. Antelope Tools. I think this is Louis. I think this is from EOS Costa Rica. I think. For this name service API, I'm not too familiar with. Telos Bees, love to see the bees getting some funding. And Boyd out there in Telos doing good work. Telos community growth and marketing, only $48 raised, but 800 matching. So that's a 20x return for every dollar donated, which is very cool to see. So there you go. So that's kind of a bit of a recap of how the pools played out this season. What do you think of the pools? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? We actually had a nice long discussion about this topic on the Fireside this week. It was about an hour, actually. A lot of people shared their thoughts. Some people feel like the pools was dividing the communities. Others felt the opposite, that it was actually unifying these sub-communities like the EVM community, the GameFi community, etc. So we'd love to know what you think. Of course, the Pomelo team loves getting feedback from the community. They take the feedback into consideration in terms of, and that influences what products, what features they're going to deliver for season 7. So be on the lookout. There's always this end of season survey that the Pomelo team releases. So be sure to fill that out when it's available. For now, we're in the waiting period, the analysis period. Pomelo team is analyzing the donations, making sure to identify any cyber attacks and adjusting the distributions based on that. So we should hear some news about that in the next couple of weeks. All right, moving on to our next topic, a little quick hitter here. Good to see 5 promising blockchain layer 1s networks to watch in 2023. Doesn't feel like this should be about EOS, as EOS is definitely not a new layer 1. However, a bunch of new layer ones. Namada I've never heard, Astar never heard. I've not heard of this. I'm also not paying too much attention to the wider crypto space these days. Way too busy with EOS. But here we got EOS highlighted there as well, which is cool to see. EOS making the list of such a publication. I mean, you're not going to learn anything new in here if you're a longtime EOS community member, but basically, you know, they talk about the big ICO. They talk about how Block One ran away with the funds, how the network created the ENF that wrested control of the network back into the community's hands. EOS EVM, DWF Labs, release of Antelope Leap 4 are some of the highlights that made it in this article. So very cool to see some exposure for EOS. All right, quick public service announcement. Greymass, if you're using Anchor Desktop and you've been experiencing issues this week, there's been a little bug that has been fixed with the latest update. So just update your Anchor wallet software and it should have the bug fixed. All right, wrapping it up for today. Upland, GameFi, introducing cafes. So Upland is described as a metaverse. It is, of course, but in my mind, when I think of a metaverse, I think of a 3D space that my avatar can walk around in. And so Alien Worlds, for example, is described as a metaverse, which it is, but for me, it's like, yeah, but if there's no 3D environment I can walk in, doesn't feel like a metaverse to me. So Upland has always said that they're going to be releasing 3D environments. Looks like that is starting to pick up some steam with this new feature. So cafes, introducing cafes. So there's a couple of addresses here for the cafes. Right now, the cafes are built by the Upland team, but soon enough, you'll be able to apply to have your own cafe, design it yourself, and attract people to your cafe, have an entry fee, have some events, etc. Earn some income from your virtual property in Upland. So what can you do in a cafe? Right now, it's basically a watch party. So each cafe features a large screen where live streams and pre-recorded videos can be displayed for all players in the cafe. This will allow Uplanders to watch Superfest 23 live streams together in any of the Upland cafes. And so that's kind of the initial phase for these. You can have a look here at this 3D space in Upland. And then in the future, players are going to be able to apply to build their own cafes, create their own experiences, and really continue to build on top of the Upland metaverse. So very exciting. If you've got a Upland account, maybe you haven't checked it out in a while, might be a good time to get back in there, check out the cafes and all the other cool features that Upland has released over the last year or two. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for us today. Turns out it wasn't that quick of a show. I went a bit longer on Pomelo grants. Also took some time to give some well-deserved shout outs to the EOS Detroit team. But that's going to wrap it up for yet another week in the EOS community. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the EOS community. And until next week, let's keep it spicy.